Hi, it's Dave. I'm out in the bee yard. Probably you can see them. I don't know if you can or not. They're buzzing me. We are finishing up installing 5 packages of bees that I started yesterday. We got them in the boxes. Now we need to do some cleanup, and I'm going to take you along on that. I'm also going to talk to you about what I did yesterday when I was first installing them, and then we're going to finish up today. But before we get to all that, if you like what you're seeing and you like what we're doing here, please hit that like and subscribe button. It means a lot. It helps the channel, helps me, and I appreciate every one of you that join. I am so blessed. I just wanted to say also, I've surpassed the magical 100 subscribers. Thank you to everyone. I think I'm up to about 108 or 9 as of this video, this intro, and I appreciate every one of you because I get a real enjoyment out of sharing what I'm doing here and passing it on, and I hope that it's providing you with something informational, educational, as well as sometimes entertaining. So enough said, let's get down to some bees. Hey, this is Dave. It's a busy Sunday morning. I hope you're staying busy and taking care of things. I just picked up 5 new packages of bees. You can see each one's got about 10,000 bees, or roughly 3 pounds. Oop, there's one on the outside. They have a queen inside, and they're ready to go in the next 3 hours at most. They will all be packed up in new hives and living a new life in a new place. So I will talk to you soon. That's what I'm doing today. Stay safe, stay prepared, and as always, I'll see you on the next video. Thanks. I have got several hives here. I'm at home right now, as well as at another location not far away that I just installed packages yesterday. A package of bees is basically a box of bees with no honeycomb, no nutrients, no food or anything like that. And sorry, I'm walking away from you, but I was looking for something, but that's okay. However, what it is it's just the bees, a pile of bees. 10,000 bees, around 3 pounds, just to be exact. For beginners, if it would be your first year, you would not want to buy a package of bees, in my opinion, because you don't probably have leftover honey or comb that has been drawn out by other bees in previous years, that sort of thing. You don't have the resources to provide them immediately. I'm starting my 3rd year of beekeeping. There's so much to learn. It's incredible. And there's so much that I probably don't even know that I don't know. So I take it a piece at a time. And so recently I had, like I said yesterday, I had 5 packages brought in that I installed, put them into boxes, put them into hives, and now we need to do some follow-up on that, and I was going to take you along with that follow-up right now as we speak. So let me get the camera set up and we will get started. All right, and I believe you're back. So what we're looking at right now, what you're looking down on, is the top of the hive. This is what's called the outer cover. It is protection from the rain and the elements and everything else that would make a bee not so happy. You can see one was landing on my glove. Also, just as an aside, this is my first time using just vinyl gloves or nitrile gloves. We'll see how this goes. I have a big thick pair of leather gloves. But if you've seen me in other bee videos, you know that I always have to take one off because I can't operate the camera with the gloves. They won't register on the touch screen, and plus they're just really big and clunky. So you may get to see something exciting. You may get to see Dave get both hands stung up and and run screaming off into the sunset. But we'll see. Okay, so what we're going to do is hive tool. It's basically a wedge type device. It's got several uses on each end, and I'm going to show you both of them. And it is, you got to always have one of these. My goodness, they're invaluable. The bees will spread propolis under this lid, and the first thing you do is with this tool, you can see it has an edge there. We're going to run this up under here. Now, there shouldn't really be a whole lot because I just had this open and they were just put in here yesterday. And we pop it, and then, yep, and so then the lid lifts right off. Okay. The next step is, this is the inner cover, and the inner cover's main purpose, they do have some inner covers that have a round hole here. That round hole would allow you to feed the bees, and that's not another topic for another time. The main purpose of this is that when the bees spread propolis, a gummy, sticky resin-like substance, that it gets sealed down. Whereas if you didn't have this inner cover, then that outer lid I had would get sealed down, and it would be very difficult to deal with. Did you hear that pop? They've already gummed it up some. So we're going to peel that off, and look at that. Those bees, see that comb? Look, you see how long that comb is? Those bees built that last night and today. Yesterday I put these bees in around 1 o'clock, and there was no comb on that inner cover. Those bees built that overnight and today while I was at work. So we'll have to scrape that off, but for the moment we're going to set it over here out of the way. So what am I doing? This is the box that the bees came in, that I picked up. We're going to lift that out of here. Oops. And I'm going to show you. See, there's some dead left, and then the bees come in and out of this hole. Now I'm just going to set that right next to the hive. We're going to set it right down here, and I'm going to leave it there overnight in case any bees get in it or work it, because I want them to smell the hive, which is right next to them, and then escape out. So, and get into the hive before nightfall. So, that box came with the 3,000 bees. It also came with a can of sugar water with a couple little tiny holes punched in the bottom, and the bees use that for nourishment before they got to me. The other thing it came with is a queen, and if you look down right in there, I'm gonna move them. That little wooden box there is called a queen cage, and those bees are eating through what is basically like a little nub of marshmallow or cotton candy, and they're trying to get to her, and hopefully by the time they're getting used to her pheromone, to her scent, and by the time they eat through, the theory is that they will have become used to her, they will release her, and she will then be the queen for the hive. That's the same for all these boxes. So each box came with that. They're working on it right now. You can see they're down in that hole, and they don't like to be blown on too much. I don't want to get them stirred up. But there you go. You can see that's the end of the box. This is an old queen cage from last year. You can see it's got wire mesh on it, and there's a hole right there, and that's where when this one was done last year, where they chewed through and released the queen and let her go, and then she was free to be in the hive. All right, so what am I doing today? I've taken the box out. You saw how quickly they built comb on the top of that inner cover. We do not want to leave this in there for more than the 24 hours. In fact, if I didn't have to work today, I would have took this out this morning. Because what will happen, see this box? They will fill that full of comb and honey and propolis and everything they've got, as well as brood, eggs, and that sort of thing. And this will become a giant mess gummed into the bottom of this box. So you do not want to leave this here very long. You let the bees come out, you take the queen out, you let it sit overnight, and the bees will follow out because they want to be near the queen. They'll follow her out. And that's what happens. The old way, when I did several of these last year, you can see those are the dead bees in the bottom. When I did this last year, the first time I had been taught was when this thing's full of bees to turn it upside down and shake all the bees out. Well, I mean, I guess that has one advantage, that you don't need to open up the hive again the next day. You're done. But the one bad advantage is that you're hurting the bees. They're getting thrown out into the bottom of the box, as well as you're dumping all those dead bees in there, which could be a source of bacteria or infection or later fungal, that sort of thing. So I tried it this way, and it is good. The bees seem very content. You can see I haven't smoked them. They're not fired up. They're not agitated. But the bad thing is that you have to come back the very next day and get the box out, because otherwise it'll be a mess. Now, the only other thing I've seen before, and I may try this if I get packages in the future, is this is the entrance over here, is you just simply set it right in front of the entrance, and supposedly the bees will go right into the hive because they smell the queen in the hive. I was a little leery of trying that, especially since these bees were installed in the afternoon. I wanted to be sure that they didn't get caught outside, because temperatures were dropping last night and it was windy. So now what do we have to do? I've got to get more frames. These frames here, these frames is where the bees build their brood. It's also where and you learn another use of the hive tool. See, we got this hooked end, and we can just pull those right up and then use that to lift the frames out. So this frame is left over actually from last year. It's got honey. They are using what they need right now while they're getting used to their new location. And we're gonna give them some more frames in order to build more comb, more honey, more brood, all the things they need. Okay, so I'm back now with the frames. These are some old wooden frames, came out of a hive last year. They've been used before. They're mostly empty. The bees shouldn't mind them at all because they've been used. In fact, they will appreciate that. For example, this one, if you can see, has a little bit of glycine there on it. That's some leftover nectar. A little bit of honey here in the corner that's still capped. And they'll clean all that up and they'll use all that. But one of the big things is that, let me turn you a little, I'm gonna turn you 1 second just because of the sun. These have already been drawn out, so this comb is already ready to go. They don't have to spend energy with wax, building comb, or anything. And it's springtime, so there's not a ton of resources. These bees have just gotten put in a box, so again, there's not a ton of resources. I am going to feed them. However, they probably will not get fed until tomorrow because of time limitations. That is not ideal. Ideal would have been to get them done when I did. However, that's why I saved for all the hives. I've got some honey frames here, frames with honey already on them, that I can be using, that I can drop in, which I have, and make sure these bees have something to get started on eating. Ultimately, what will happen is each hive will get a jug of, or probably a quart to start, of 1-to-1 sugar water. So cup of water, cup of sugar, heat it up, melt it, and you're good to go. And then the bees will feed on that, and that thin syrup very much generates, it helps the queen to make brood. In the fall, you're going to use a thicker syrup, 2-to-1, and that will encourage honey production, which will obviously hold them over the winter. Resource production, I guess I should say. Okay. Now, these bees are getting a little agitated, but normally this box holds 10 of these frames that I put in here. Now then, these boxes hold 10 of these frames. You can see from this frame, I showed you that other one, but see this one? See how it's hardly pulled out at all? This means the bees will have to what's called draw this frame out. It requires more resources, it requires more time. That's honestly, you can see right here, it was just slightly started to be drawn out last year. But that's why I didn't put it in there. I don't want to put a whole bunch of these in there, because then the bees are spending a huge amount of time trying to draw this out so that they can make it into usable comb, rather than just immediately filling the comb that's already there with resources, and that would be pollen and nectar, so that they can get going. So we're just about done here with this box. In fact, we pretty well are done. The only thing we're going to do, remember the inner cover? So we're going to shake off those couple bees that were on there, and see those little pyramids of comb? Boy, they were fast. I'm not kidding. Like just over 24 hours. Okay, so we're going to take that comb and my little hive tool I got here. Go on. We're just going to scrape that right off. Because what will happen is if you leave that, they'll keep building on that and it'll just get out of control. It'll be everywhere inside the hive. Part of the reason for these frames, and see how close they are together, and when I can't fit the 10th one in there because the queen box, remember I showed you, is keeping the frames farther apart than they normally would be. Once she's out of that box and loose in here, then I'll put the 10th frame in here. But part of the reason why you keep a tight space is it's called bee space in between the frames, and it keeps the bees from going crazy building up comb, because you don't want that, because that is a nightmare to try to deal with and try to work through when you're checking on the hive and everything else. So we're going to put the frame back down here. What we do is we slide it, set it on an angle a little bit like that. Try not to crush any bees. We're going to slide it into place, and then all I have to do is put on the outer cover. Now I've got 3 pieces of comb here, waxy comb, that those little girls busted out last night. There we go, you can see. They went to town. I'm shocked that they cranked that out overnight. But that's what they did. And so that's, you see, this is a perfect, I'm glad I opened this box to film, because this is perfectly the reason why you don't want to leave this box in there, because they would make a mess of that in no time, especially in spring when they build or prolifically building comb. All right, so the only thing left to do is we now take the outer cover, we're going to put that back over, and that completes installing. We're going to take the outer cover and put that back over, and that completes the installation of the bees. So I've got 4 more boxes to do. I'm not going to film all those, because if you want to see, the sun's getting low in the sky and I'm running out of time. So that's it. We've installed a package of bees. A package of bees is different from a nucleus of bees. A nucleus of bees is usually 5 frames of bees, or 4 to 5 frames of bees in a like a pasteboard box, a cardboard box that has a queen that's been with them for at least over the winter. They're used to the queen. You pull them out. They've got frames that are full of resources, as well as they've already been collecting in the spring, and they're much more ready to go than these packages of bees are. These packages of bees are less expensive. A nucleus of bees, which includes all the 5 frames with the honey and the everything like that, can be anywhere from $200 to $250. a package of bees that is basically a box of bees with no frames, no honey, no nothing, as well as they still have to kind of become accustomed to their queen, those will run you about 100 or 120. So you can see if you're buying, in my case it was 5, it adds up quick. So we want to make sure that I'm making the best use of my resources so that I can get everything I need for them. Having had bees now for 3 years, I have plenty of extra frames. Those extra frames can quickly be used to bolster the bees that I have. Had I been starting out my first year, then I don't have those frames because I've never had bees before. I wouldn't have frames of honey. I wouldn't have frames with comb built out. I wouldn't have frames with pollen still stuck in them from last year or anything like that. And then you, of course, want to buy nucleuses of bees. There's no right or wrong. It's what works best for you. Both methods are effective. I have local resources. I don't buy them through the mail. I have local resources to purchase both bee nucleuses as well as bee packages, and I've done both, and they work great both ways. So I hope this little crash course in installing a package of bees was at least useful or fun. If so, by all means, please hit that like and that subscribe button, and I'm going to bring you more stuff, I swear to you. God willing and the creek don't rise, that'll happen. In the meantime, I want you to stay safe, stay prepared, and as always, I'll see you on the next video. Thanks a lot. Thanks for tuning in. Ooh, that was a good one. It just had pollen went in.